All right, Joel. When's the market crashing?
That's what we're talking about.
Welcome to the Utah Real Estate Show podcast, the show where two agents and a lender teach real estate best practices by talking through mistakes we've seen and made.
Well, we're going to wait 9 months to buy. You don't know what that is, and unless you can outsave the growth, you're actually going backwards.
Yeah. You're losing ground.
And we've all seen clients do that.
There is no financial planner on the planet that will tell you can time any market. Doesn't matter if it's the stock market, bond market.
Don't listen to them.
It's the real estate market, whatever. You cannot time the market. Quit trying. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Utah Real Estate Show. I am Tyler Kazare, Utah real estate agent.
Jason Christiansen, mortgage lender.
Eric Wist, Utah real estate agent.
And we have a special guest, my good friend,
Joel Frost, appraiser
extraordinaire.
Thank you, my friends. It's good to be here.
Today we're talking about market conditions, like what's going on.
Yes, we are. I have my nerd box here on the table, guys. I'm sorry, you have to look at this the whole time because we're going to be looking at stuff, and we'll cut in on your screen what we're seeing on our screen too.
The bubble's bursting, right? I mean, I keep hearing this is what's happening in 2008. I'm waiting for the market to crash.
Yes.
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you what I hear?
Yes.
Because I hear this all the time. The moratorium's going to end, right? All these people are going to get kicked out of their houses. There are going to be so many houses that are vacant.
Yeah, okay, so there's some truth in this, but there's a lot of misunderstanding. Okay?
Where are the people going to go?
Exactly. That's
rental.
Actually why it's not going to, that's why the bubble's not going to break. Okay, so first of all, we are not in a bubble. The definition of a bubble, I think you said this, the definition of a bubble is that it's hollow. There's nothing on the inside. There's nothing driving it. And as soon as it bursts, it's gone.
Well, no, it's just artificially driven.
Well, let's talk about 08 really quick. Okay, so
08.
There was lots of fuel to the fire, but one of the biggest thing was investors didn't think that mortgages could fail. So you had people who couldn't qualify for homes who were buying homes because they won't fail. So you had people, very low wage earners who owned 5 homes, who were floating the payment, who were just churning it. They would buy the home, in a few months they'd sell it for a few thousand more. Right. Over and over and over, the homes were never occupied. That's what was going on. Lots of inventory.
Yeah, and there were two sides too there. I mean, a lot of people accused the mortgage industry, especially,
helped out for sure,
making poor decisions. But the point is that was a bubble, and when it burst, it had a catastrophic effect, which we're going to talk about a lot in this podcast, on the housing market. And if you guys lived through 2008, which all of us did, it hurt. It hurt a lot because homes that were valued at the time at $200,000 were suddenly a year later worth $120,000.
But worse than that, homes that were valued at $1.5 million were now worth $700,000, $600,000.
Right.
So that was a huge thing.
And the term is underwater, right? When your payment is, when you owe more on your house than it's actually worth, it's said to be underwater. And in 2008, there was a lot of underwater, and that was a bubble, and it broke.
And there's a similarity, right? Because we've had values take off, and they had values take off.
And this is why people associate the two.
They see the same trend.
They're like, "Whoo, look at this value trend going," and they go, "What? 2008 was a bubble and it popped. I don't know what happened."
We're gonna wait for values to fall.
And I have personal story of a friend of mine. I won't name this friend, but
Name him.
No, I'm not gonna name him.
His name is Tyler.
They went. No, they looked at a house. I showed them the house. It wasn't me. Anyway, they went to go look at this house, and it was in 2019. And this house was outside their budget. They didn't have enough money. They had for the down payment. They didn't have enough money to make this happen. And so they said, "No, we're gonna walk away from it." I begged them to purchase that house. Turned out that house didn't sell, but it came on the market another, I think it was 8 months later, and it was $70,000 more.
Dude, I helped clients that they started looking at the beginning of this year, and it took them 3 months to buy, and the same type of house, same structure, same floor plan went up $50,000 in 3 months.
Definitely.
And the question I love to ask my friend who is now wallowing in their investment pain because they didn't end up buying a house.
They're so petty.
They're so petty. They didn't buy the house, and I asked them, well, did you save $80,000 in the amount of time that it took you for this house to appreciate $80,000? If not, should have bought the house, right? And so And people look at me like, well, you're a real estate agent. You have a vested interest. Like you just want me to buy houses. And the answer is no. There are solid economics.
I make money when you buy a house.
Let me you make money when you buy houses. Like we are self-interested. This is true. But the association with a bubble is not an accurate comparison. Right. There are solid economics driving the Utah market and the overall U.S. market.
So let's talk about the bubble that is Utah, though.
Okay.
Because we have a plethora of overeducated, underemployed, ready-to-work people.
Yes.
So because I do think that there will be an interesting event in like New York where there's a lot of people renting for free and owning their homes for free, and they may leave to follow the jobs. But also, we've got tons of jobs waiting here.
That's actually what's driving it, because this is the first indicator it's not a bubble. If there are jobs driving the attraction of people to the state, that's not a bubble.
Well, it's a supply and demand too. I mean, both jobs and homes. We don't have enough homes, literally enough for the demand that is coming in, because there is an industry here as well.
Yeah.
It's a growing industry.
What was that? Third quarter of 2019?
Oh yeah.
Was that?
Sorry, it's time for nerd
time for a graph. So typically we have homes go on the market, homes get sold. Like this.
There's typically more get listed than get sold.
Right.
In a given quarter.
And they follow.
Which is the green line in the black.
Third quarter. Check it out. Third quarter of 2020. When the homes listed goes boop, and homes sold goes ping.
Yeah. What does that mean, Jason?
Yeah, the and the ping.
There's no more homes. They all sold. Everyone that got listed, well, as far as you can see on the graph, it's really close. And inventory goes to what? And we all know what you pay for a hamburger in Disneyland. Because how many hamburger joints are in Disneyland?
Yeah. Not enough. It's arbitrarily low, so that they can charge
whatever they want.
So when there's no homes available, what's the price?
Whatever they want.
It goes way up. Right?
So whatever you can get appraiser to appraiser.
That's true.
No,
And
because they came in with cash. I mean, I had clients that were cashing out their inheritance early to come in and pay $50,000 over.
Right, we're putting 5% down.
So he didn't even matter anymore.
And then the cost to cure.
A little bit.
Just a little
Can I matter a little?
Okay.
Yeah. You matter to me.
This is. I want to start a discussion with this is not a bubble. Okay, we're going to talk about townhomes, and actually, Joel, I want you to talk about townhomes, because townhomes are the identifier.
Yeah, for me, it's a real good cheat sheet for you guys to use as identifying like what is the market doing, because townhomes are these really local markets where everything's roughly the same. And you can see trends in a townhome development really easily, because if all of the townhomes have a 2-car garage and they're all 2 stories and most of them have a basement finish, you can track what's happening real easy. And like in Harriman in November of 2020, so not even a year ago, we're talking, what is that, 9-10 months ago from right now, there was a townhome that one of my friends was looking at. It was $315,000. Should have bought it. In June, the same townhome, it was a townhome in the same development, competing, under contract at $415,000. So $100,000 in that time period.
What was that time period again?
From November to June.
So we went, and this is an increased third to a quarter, right in that range,
in half a year. But that's what
half a year.
Yeah. So from the time that you indicated where those 2 dots meet to 6 months later, they had gone up $100,000. And so anyway, I tell you that to show you like an extreme example, but also like townhomes are really good for identifying trends, because you can see, oh, hey, this development went up $20,000 this year. This development went up $30,000 this year. This development went up $100,000 this past 6 months. So it's a good cheat sheet. I think townhomes and condos are great cheat sheets.
Right, so that gives us an idea of how to evaluate kind of apples to apples, like this development to that development. Geographically, you can kind of pick those and say, this area is ascending at this rate, appreciating at this rate. Yeah. Okay, so that actually brings me to my next topic, which is housing starts, right? And
what does a housing start?
Housing start
compared to a housing listing.
Okay, so housing start is a permit from a builder to put a house on a lot.
Permit
right?
from a municipality, from a city to put a building on a lot.
Right. And so it is the most bare bones, naked estimate of how many homes are we building.
We want to build a home.
Yeah.
Can we have a permit?
Right. There you
Yes.
go. How many homes did we build in 2007 as a nation? We're talking about the entire United States right now.
Is it 24 million?
2.3 million.
2.3 million in the 1 year.
Right.
Yeah, 2.3.
Right.
Oh, seven.
And so that trend is continuing, right? The need. Okay. So that trend loosely follows.
Is this
population.
Utah?
No, this is all the United States.
Except for in 2007 when they were building homes and they were sitting empty. I mean, this is what the bubble was.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a second and what effect that had. But let's just talk in case, as if there were no 2008, right? Meaning it just kept right on building. That number of housing starts tracks with the population growth. How many people are graduating from college? How many people are going out in the workplace? How many people are having families, having kids and starting their families? That trend is the demand for homes. 2.4 million homes.
Yeah, and we have a steady need of new home starts.
Right.
As a nation and as a state. We
Ironically,
have homes
when we
starts.
stopped building homes, the housing starts went down. You can see in this graph in 2008, the housing starts went down to 500,000, not 2.4 million. So we're underbuilding by 75%. We're missing 1.5 million homes. Right. So there's a higher demand for housing, but there are fewer and fewer homes. Now this trend, Joel, you can talk about this. Like, how thick are these smaller trends in the 1980s and
Well, they coincide with recessions, depressions. Right?
Yeah, these depressions.
These ones are very narrow, and then that one
drops,
at the end
drops.
This was super wide.
Yeah.
And that's actually the problem I want to talk about.
Yes.
Because in 2008, we start this trend of only building a few homes per year, and we are underbuilding by 1.5 million, and then 1.4 million, and 1.3 million, and we are underbuilding by over 1 million homes every single year. That's not because we don't have people that need to fill those homes. That is because we're not building those homes. And this has a twofold problem, because now we don't have the inventory. We have a higher population, so a low supply, a high demand, and on top of it, what does it say? If you're graduating from college and the housing market just took a dump, and you were graduating in like construction management, you might not graduate this year, or you might change your major. You're not going into construction management anymore.
Everyone switched jobs. And for 3-4 years, there was a lot of hesitation about, is the housing market going to recover? How soon is it going to recover? Yeah. And by like 12, 13, when people started realizing, okay, we're going to be okay one day, everyone already shifted their job focus. Yeah. And builders weren't really doing their thing anymore. Builders had gone out of business. So we just aren't in the mode of creating houses at this point. We got burned too bad.
So let me make it clear. There was a housing surplus in 2008. Yes. There was too many houses. Sure. And that took time to be absorbed. Yeah. Right? And everybody's like, we don't need houses. We're leaving the trades. So now we have a shortage of tradesmen. Lumber's expensive. There's lots of people who need homes. And they're just not being built fast enough or becoming available enough. And the other thing that's really interesting to note is there's investors. So like a lot of people think, a home is built, a home is sold. There's obviously a family who owns the home, who's in this home. But I know quite a few people who, when the market gets good and they've been watching the market and they have money, they're going to pick up some real estate as investment.
Everyone who's owned a home over the past 10 years has $200,000-$300,000 of equity. And all of them are investors now, because they all are leveraging that. And why wouldn't you? So everyone now is an investor, because everyone has at least $250,000.
Yeah.
So some of these homes now, and for buying power, pick and giggle, should we play this game really quick?
Yeah.
So go ahead. Average price of home in Utah, we're saying...
Yeah, we're $450,000 right now. $450,000 average.
Okay, so you take $450,000. What's the minimum down payment? Usual?
Let's go 5%.
5%. So you've got a loan amount of $427,500. Okay? Good average interest rate right now, 3%. You've seen signs for lower, sometimes higher, but let's say 3%. Let's make an easy number. Now, 3% is a crazy good interest rate, right? So this puts principal and interest payment just over $1,800.
Yeah.
Okay? What happens if this is 4%, which is still a good interest rate? Guesses?
Well,
How much does your payment go up?
It's going to go up at least a couple $100.
$200, $300.
$200 it goes up, right?
Your numbers is 240, 238.
Yeah, so we went from 1802 to 2040.
Yeah.
1802 to 2040, okay? So
What's that in buying power, though?
So let's go backwards. So that payment of 2040 at 3%, how much buying power is that? That takes you from your 427 to 484. So that 1% drop in interest rate is $60,000 of house.
So what we're sort of getting at here, the word we're getting at is affordability, right? Because there's no one in Utah saying affordability is getting better, because it ain't. The amount of dollars or like salary, raises, wages that people are getting is not increasing commensurate with the price of housing.
Yeah.
Which means
With
that
the
in
appreciation.
general, your wage is going up at this like general slope. Maybe not very sloping, but it's
Hopefully it's going up.
Yes.
What's average cost of living? You get a 5% raise a year? That's
2%.
somewhere in that range.
Between 2 and 5% depends on. There's a lot of tech here, so tech typically does more. But that said, like even at 5%, what was the appreciation last year, Joel?
For the year?
For the year in houses,
In houses.
just in general.
In houses? In 2020?
Yeah.
I think it was definitely in the teens.
Yeah, and
It didn't go above 20.
and you look at this trend line on this map.
This one's going to be crazy.
Like it's insane. Like between 2020 and 2021, we ended up with the median price of homes going from $390 to $450. That's a $60,000 swing in 2 quarters.
Yeah.
That is absurdly high appreciation. Now, if you're a homeowner, dude, you're loving it, right? Because everybody's an investor now.
Well, it depends on what you do with it. Just because you have the equity doesn't necessarily mean.
That's true. We can do
You're
another
investing.
podcast on how to utilize your equity. But so now, if you're a renter, though, your affordability, like your ability to bring in dollars, has been going up at 5%. Your like the cost of your house asset has been going up by 20,
The value?
30,
Not necessarily the
40%. Yeah,
ridiculous.
like like the ability for new homeowners to get in is not very high. I was reading some statistics earlier this week that said 5 years ago, 70% of renters in Utah could afford to purchase a new home. Right? This year, 20%.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing, right? You buy a house, your payment's going to go up proportionately with the taxes and homeowner insurance increases, right?
Yeah.
Of your escrow account. If you have a fixed rate mortgage, your escrow will adjust. So your payment might go up 20, maybe $80 a month. I mean, if you're a really nice house, maybe $100 a month. You know, it's going to change. Rentals are increasing $200 a year easily.
Yeah. But why is that? What's driving that demand?
It's worth it.
There's
cost,
a demand for the renters.
It's
Right.
because the renters got to live somewhere, man, and they can't get into houses for themselves, and that money is expendable payment.
That adjusts every year as the value of the home goes up.
Yeah.
The rent goes up.
Well, and we also got to come back and look at what we were talking about earlier with tradesmen and just the work here in Utah. I mean, just in the last 10 years, I mean, there's been a huge tech thing that's gone this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean? There's a lot of people that live here in Utah now that work back east or work for another
That's a
country.
big thing.
They don't have to live where they are
make
working
good
now.
money.
So they're here.
Why?
A lot of them even are from bigger cities where they just rent. They live in a downtown condo high rise. So when they come here, they're okay living in a downtown condo high rise because they're used to it.
Well, I have so many people coming to Utah because of the family values we have here and the outdoors we have. Like tons of people. I have a friend from DC who came for the mountains. And people
We
are
have
seeing
some.
value there.
Well, that and
There's 49 national parks and we have 5 of them in
Yeah.
our state. Yeah.
We have a disproportionately high amount of recreation in this state.
and we also have a very good appreciation rate in the state too.
crazy.
So I mean, you go look at these graphs and then you go compare them to other cities and other
the
states.
Midwest, the South.
I mean, we're known for just having a very steady. So you want to buy an investment property that you're looking for more appreciation.
Yeah.
This is a good place to have it at.
The only state that outdid us over this last crazy run is Idaho, and they beat us by a few points. And then we were next, and then it was a distant third.
Yeah, distance.
So, but everywhere's doing well, but Utah's doing really well.
Yeah, and so like I had a question today from a client. He just said, he goes, well, what should I do? Like, when should I buy? When should I sell the home? Because we're going to have a bubble. And I just went back and said, well, I get asked that all the time. The best time to buy or sell is when you're thinking about it, because you can't predict the future. You can do the best you can by looking at all this stuff. You do it. And like what you guys were both saying, you had clients earlier that said, well, we're going to wait 9 months to buy. You don't know what that is. And unless you can outsave the growth, you're actually going backwards.
Yeah.
Right. You're losing ground.
And we've all seen clients do that.
There is no financial planner on the planet that will tell you can time any market. Doesn't matter if it's the stock market, bond market.
Don't listen to them.
It's the real estate market, whatever. You cannot time the market. Quit trying.
Well, okay, so here's other things. Like, if rates jump, your buying power is going to drastically decrease.
Well, back on the rates real quick, too. There's a lot of people that are also saying rates are going up this year because of... we had a massive dump of cash into this, which causes inflation. How do you combat inflation?
You own an asset. You don't have money. You have something that's worth money, because the thing that's worth money will be worth the same value regardless of what happens to the money. Right. And like, so this is a huge thing that I say. Like, if you can get your money into real estate, do it now, because if hyperinflation, if like the conspiracy theorist stuff happens, barring a few wild scenarios, your real estate will hold its value. Mm-hmm. It will be worth something because people need a place to live, and there's not enough places to live.
Yeah. Buy land. They're not making any more of it.
No.
Put a house on that's worth more.
Put a house on that's worth more. Exactly. Well, people got to sleep somewhere. And people will, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game here. The whole time we've been talking about supply and demand. And the supply is low, the demand is high, which means the price is going up.
Well, even now, like this month, it's cooled off a little bit. We're getting more inventory than we've had. Mm-hmm. And people are, I'm hearing the market slowing down, which I'm seeing. Yes. But let's talk about what slowing down is.
Let's talk about June 28th.
Well, I've seen a lot of stuff, because I've also seen a record number of price drops on homes this past month. And people are like, we're crashing.
Yeah.
No, it's because we were growing at a 40% increase, and then it went.
Now it's only a 10%.
And then people are like, we're crashing. Well, no, it's just slowing down. We're not going down. It's still going up. Mm-hmm. It just is slowed down to a little bit more realistic rate, and people had priced their homes based off of this ridiculous thing. So they've lowered the price to where it more should be. That doesn't mean that we're crashing.
And when it was going crazy, we were having like 1,400 listings a month.
Yeah.
We had 1,400 active listings at a time, which in Utah, we're accustomed to about 2,400 at a given time. That's what we like. That makes us feel pretty. 2,400 to 2,700. We were at like 1,400 to 1,700, so very low listings.
Almost half of what.
And then over the past couple months, over the past month, we're over above 3,000 now. So we swung a little bit, but I don't think it's for me, I don't think it's a sign of like, it popped. I don't think it is.
No,
there's not.
It just means we got a few hundred homes up for sale.
Well, and it all happened in a key month too. I mean, you look at it happened. Like I said, we joke around with July or June 28th as we feel that's when it slowed down. July, we have 2 holidays in Utah. Mm-hmm. Okay. People just finished a bunch of stuff getting out of school in June. They go on vacation. I know people that literally took 3 weeks on vacation in July. Mm-hmm. You had buyer fatigue that said, let's wait.
Yep.
And then you had an increase in inventory.
And August.
And people want to get into their houses before school starts. They don't want to go out and find one now.
Yeah, so they're going to wait.
If you don't have a house under contract by mid-July, you're not closing before the time school starts. Right. So by about mid-July, people are re-upping their lease, or they're moving in with mom for the next year, or whatever they're doing. They're staying put for another year because
kind of a big deal.
They want their kids in the school. In Utah, it's really big. It's a really big deal.
Mm-hmm. So, and I pulled this up. This is another table because I'm a numbers guy. But you can see this trend of, this is one way to evaluate whether or not you're in a sales or a seller's market or a buyer's market, and it is the median price of solds to the asking price, right, to the listing price.
What they sold for versus what they were asking.
So if you're 100%, right? That's equal.
People are giving you what you're asking.
Right. If you're at 107%, then that's a strong seller market because people they're offering 7% on average more than what the ask price is, right? So you see 100% in October, in December it's 101%, in March it's 104%, in May it's 105%, and then June taps out 106%. This is across the state of Utah, 106%, right? And what happens in July? We lose 3%.
So now we're tapering off. You see the
in
decline.
1%, that 3%, what that feels like is the insanity, the chaos of a popping bubble. Well, this is not popping.
Well, that, and you also compare that with days on market would be another really cool graph because.
Yeah. Do I have? I have that one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all the way up to 7 days on market.
Yeah. Now we're trending up, right? And granted, you're still spending time on market 6 days, but this is also.
Well,
anything
average
under
time on market a year ago was 30 days, 20 something days.
It was 22 days a year ago.
Almost a month.
We're
right?
almost a whole year back. Right there is 9.
No, we can look back.
Oh, so it went to 12. Okay.
There you go. 2019 is 38 days on market.
38. Yeah.
That's January 20.
So
let's look at
a couple of years ago.
So 21 days in July 2019.
You're a month on market, and that was okay. That was expected.
That was normal.
Right.
And people have been conditioned by this new market dynamic that we're
on the market for 2-3 hours.
It's been on the market for 3 hours and it's not under contract. What's wrong with your house?
What?
Yeah. And that's, when you're rabid like that, then yes, that happens in markets, and that's what was happening in May. Well, that's not what's happening.
And that comes back to talking to good lenders, good agents, getting information, people like appraisers and stuff, of learning the market, because this is going to gauge on how you help your buyers and how you help your sellers actually do what they're wanting to do. You have to know what's going on, otherwise there's false expectations, and now you have not happy clients causing not good issues.
And then still take the time to get the house you want. It may take a little longer to find it or something, but don't go buy the first thing. Go get a home inspection. Yeah. Make sure your agents analyze it well, that you're getting a house for a good deal, even if you're bidding over appraised value. That's still, in some markets, I have $6,000 seller paid closing costs, and they're chipping in for the home warranty. And in other markets, they're saying, I'll pay you $20,000 higher than your next bid, and I'll beat any appraised, I'll pay over the appraised value by this much.
And $10,000 hard upon acceptance of this contract.
So, know your market, because you may have an agent who doesn't know the market that you're buying in, offering way more than they should in the house. Of course the seller's going to accept it, and you just lost tens of thousands.
Yeah, you just left $15,000 on the table that you didn't need to spend.
Well, and to kind of come back to all of that of bringing it in, if you want to look at what our housing industry is doing here in Utah, go start watch some of the city council meetings. You can go have some really good insight about what is coming, because big commercial developments and businesses, it's been planned for 2-3 years already. It's coming. So when you all of a sudden hear that, there is a huge resort getting built, there's 7 tech buildings getting built, there's this getting built, that means more jobs that are coming, which is going to take away from inventory. So that kind of gets back to the whole bubble thing, which is why, I personally don't think we're in a bubble. I think we've slowed down a touch, but not in a bubble, and we're going to continue to climb.
Yeah. Still the best time to buy real estate is now.
I see us continuing, not as fast as we have been, but I see us continuing to appreciate for at least through 2022 and probably into 2023. I don't think it slows down until either rates go up, or there's so much buyer fatigue, or the people just get priced out. Right, to where that $440,000
and we've seen the slowdown. I think
$500,000.
Part of the slowdown.
Well, and then where that's going to happen is the investors are coming in, and you'll now rent. And where Utah's transitioning into that larger metropolis city.
Yeah, it happens. I have people complain and say, I can't afford to buy a house. People won't be able to afford to buy a house. And you are absolutely right.
Go check out the other large cities in the U.S. You don't have homeowners in the city.
Denver, Portland.
Yeah, Denver, Portland, D.C., Dallas.
So, what did we learn?
Nothing.
Well,
What did you learn?
my key takeaway is that you shouldn't be listening to your neighbors tell you about what your home is worth. You should be looking at market fundamentals and talking to people who know what they're talking about.
Did we just call that good?
I was gonna say, don't. If Facebook is telling you, don't. Go talk to someone.
Well, and just like what Tyler said, I mean, remember that if you want to go look at the information, actually go pull the actual data, analyze it a little bit, do your research a little bit. Don't just jump on something and go do it. Think about where you're at. The best time to still do it is when you're prepared to do it, when your family's ready.
Yeah.
Well, like one last thing, like, and just as a sign of that, like Zillow is buying homes now. Companies like Zillow don't buy homes, but they are now because they have faith in where it's going. So yeah.
So we just had a really interesting podcast right here. And I know that there's some people who disagree. Comment down below. Tell us what you think. What are your thoughts on that? Do you disagree with what we just said?
Ask questions. And if you ever want to reach out to me, you can hit me up on Twitter at Just Ask Joel.
If you want to get in touch with us, shoot us a text at 801-228-7687. Make sure you mention the show. You can email us at theutahrealestateshow@gmail.com. You can watch this show on YouTube, and you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you learned something, or if you really love this show, give us a like on YouTube and drop a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. The Utah Real Estate Show is a production of Hive Collective at Presidio Real Estate, with support from Security Home Mortgage. The NMLS number for Security Home Mortgage is 178787. The NMLS number for Jason Christiansen is 240472, Equal Housing Lender. Not only is this not legal or investment advice, but you should definitely talk to a pro before you make any real estate decision. Every situation is different and should be considered in context. Copyright Jason Christiansen, Eric Wist, and Tyler Kazare. All rights reserved. Talk to you next week.
Right? But we didn't stop having babies. Actually, we started having more babies. Because that's what we do when you don't. Anyway, we'll just cut that out of the episode. They went from being construction management to gynecology, and now they're delivering all the babies that were conceived in 2008.
You're stuck on the babies.
The babies.
So.
Inner peace.